We're just getting older, world is getting colder. Trying to get sober, Lord help me get stronger. World is on my shoulders.
How you doing today? This is the 12 of 12 podcast, the podcast about real life recovery, growth and development, redemption, because that's what this is about. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do us a favor, tap that subscribe button and share for more. Also, we are sponsored by First Step Recovery. If you need any help with severe mental illness or substance abuse disorder, please don't wait, don't hesitate to reach out and contact them today. You see the numbers going across the top. Don't wait, reach out to them, they'll be happy to help you. And we have a special guest today and some special topics that we're gonna get into today. And we have a special guest, Ms. Susan.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Isaiah.
How you doing today?
I'm well, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you too. We're gonna get into a lot of good things, and it's a long time waiting for her to come in, and we finally was able to get together and do that. And she has great information for you, so please just wait to the end. I know a lot of people like to tap the skip button or whatever, man, or they might not want to get into it, but this is something you want to get into, some great valuable information about your security, your privacy, digital things, and something that you'll want to listen to. Tell me a little bit about you. Where you from?
So I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I was born and raised here, and a Louisvillian and a Kentuckian, through and through.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
So, tell me, have you ever had experience with anybody who might have dealt with any mental illness or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. For sure. So I'm a veteran. I'm from a military family, and we have a lot of military family problems. And, it's really important to care for your mental health. I think the service in the military, it has an impact on folks. I think the military started to recognize that, and we have to recognize it for what it is, and remove that stigma and shame, because it happens to everyone, even outside the military.
Yeah, yes it does, yes it does. Mental health is definitely a serious thing that people go through. And I think the most important thing is the person has to figure out how to deal with that if they have it, or if they're dealing with somebody who has it. Because a lot of people, they just feel like they're getting wrongly placed in the box of rebellion, or they're just a bad person or this and that, but they really just have certain situations that they're mentally going through that they need help with. They might not even know that they need the help.
That's right.
But a lot of people I spoke to, I always said that they felt like something was off with them, but they'll tell the doctor, they might not know what's going on. They'll tell their friends and family, they don't know what's going on, and they think that, you're just rashing out. But at the end of the day, they have something going on internally that they're really just trying to get help for.
That's right. And if you don't know what you don't know that doesn't have to be there all the time, or that there's things that you can do. But also, I think as you do seek treatment, it's not like, oh, whew, I got some magic pill and now everything's all better.
Yeah.
You got to try different medications. Everybody's different. It's still very much pharmacology is an evolving science. They don't always know how to diagnose people correctly and can give people the wrong medicine. And that in and of itself can create a great deal of disruption. And people can be seeking treatment and in the process of working with a doctor and a care team and still have major issues. And we've seen that in the UK, where they're trying to, some of the royal family had a really serious event, and it was because of medication change. And so when we hear those side effects, could cause ideation, and we just whip right past that part. No, that's very serious. And whether it's something you have to be prepared for, to know that's going to happen, and the people around you who are trying to support you in that process need to both give you support and give you grace as you work through that, because that is a very critical point, and many critical points in a long journey.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. We recently had someone who was on the show, if I go back and look at it, a few episodes back, but she talked about how she was dealing with severe mental illness for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. And she was mixed diagnosed for like 20 of them, 20 or 25 of the years.
Very common.
So she went through her entire life getting medication that wasn't working for her, giving her bad side effects, and then come to find out she had to go do her own research and things like that, find out, and then they ended up getting on the right stuff, right medication and things like that. But over that many years, they actually was diagnosing it. Doctors are not perfect, and you have to put your own health into action with doing your own research. I feel, even though the doctor could tell you something, but I always do research. People get misdiagnosed all the time.
They do, and I really think and I understand it's difficult in terms of access to psychiatric care, but actually working with a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Primary care doctors do not study, the neurological, psychological impacts of all the different medications. They don't understand that it's not their job to cross all of that.
Yeah.
And psychiatrists are really the only ones that really understand how medications work, how they impact the brain, how they impact your entire body. And so wherever possible, getting access to psychiatric care can take a long time. It can be hard to find it. It's separate from therapy. It's not related. They are not going to ask you therapeutic questions. They're going to ask you behavioral questions. Can you sleep? Can you eat? Are you having trouble with your social interactions? Those are the things that we need to work on trying to treat. And then what are your other medications? Because those side effects could actually be coming from something else, especially the older you get, or if you don't, like I'm missing a liver enzyme that's really important to process a medication, so I need to take less or I will be poisoned.
Yep, exactly.
And so these are things that people don't know. They end up misdiagnosed with all kinds of problems. And there's definitely, it actually causes psychosis to give certain, meds to the wrong conditions.
Yeah, yes,
and
it
it's
does.
really, really hideous, and it oftentimes comes from people not understanding what they're actually prescribing or what the person's actually diagnosed with.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you said that you dealt with someone who dealt with mental illness before. How was that? How did that affect your life, and how were you able to deal with that situation? Because I think it's important that people need to know how to deal with people when someone's going through a psychotic break or a PTSD hit or whatever they might be going through. What's a good way to deal with it and the emotions that might be involved with it? Because I know it's not easy to go through that situation.
It's not, and you don't know what to do first and foremost. Like there's not like, okay, if this loved one's going through this. And in the case of my cousin, I can talk about his story from, which really was the genesis of this company and why, and how I got here, sitting here, right here today. And so he was a military veteran. He was actually a war hero, but also struggled with PTSD, and ended up a tragedy that made international news, actually. And so it was really traumatic. It's still traumatic. It's still traumatic for his family. There's permanent, family damage that has happened from that. But one of the things that along the way is honestly, most people keep their guns under lock and key. You might just need to hide those. Reality is that the firearms, I have no issue with firearms. We have collections of things. I live on a farm. We shoot them. I'm also was in the military, so these are weapons, and they shouldn't be treated as anything other than a weapon. But it doesn't mean they don't have a purpose or use, or you shouldn't have them. I'm not trying to get into that. But if somebody's really struggling, can you hide the keys? They might be mad. They're not going to find them, and that can really just solve a couple of problems off the top. Because if folks are left alone, maybe they're going to make that rash decision. But mostly it's around creating that space, acknowledging that what they're feeling. People like to say, "Oh, you shouldn't be upset about that." That's my fave. The word should. If you say the word should, you're probably already in trouble, and you should back up because you don't know what someone should or shouldn't feel. Emotions are chemical reactions, and once you've had that chemical reaction, you can't be like, "Oh, you can't be mad." It's too late. I already felt the madness. I already felt sad. I already felt happy. I already smiled, and I feel joyful. It's too late. It already happened, right? Those are chemical reactions. And so if you can acknowledge that with people, yes, I appreciate that. I have no idea why, the color of this carpet is really creating such discord for you, but I acknowledge that this color of this carpet is creating discord for you, so let's cover it up or something. Let's do something else. Let's move to another place. Let's find how can we address root cause? What do you need to do to feel better, and how can we get you with the right medical team that actually knows what's going on and what you need to do to feel better? Because it could just be learning new coping skills, or how to manage just stress and pick and choice and things like that. Like how can I can either eat the ice cream or not eat the ice cream, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you work through the choice?
Definitely. I think it's about paying more attention to people is where it's at, because if you just make little tweaks and changes, and honestly, I think it goes to sacrificing more of self, because it's gonna take work. A lot of people feel like they don't want to deal with it. They don't got the time. They'd rather not. But if you take the time to deal with it, you could figure a lot out, and you could get the person to help. And if you have a gun, like same thing, you know, we won't get into the gun situation,
Not trying to.
but thing about it is, hey, I know you got a right to bear arms. It's cool. Hey, I got no problem with guns, but no, guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people.
Okay.
And that's the thing about it. So if you know a person's going through a situation, or you know they're not even able to think right, and you got guns, you need to be able to make sure that you got this thing on the lock and key, secured. You don't want tragedy to happen in your home. You don't want tragedy to happen with children getting hold of them, or things like that. But if a person does have access to that and they have some mental issues going on, you need to do what you can do to equalize that situation, whatever you can do before they end up stepping across a boundary and tragedy ends up happening.
That's right. Just wrong time, wrong place, right? So same thing can be true with like leftover medications from, you know, family members, right? Like it's a real problem. How do you get rid of those? And, you know, that's can be just as much of a threat as, you know, some of those other things. So like if you know somebody's struggling, like remove some of the obvious things, like you would a 2-year-old, right? You're not gonna leave things unplugged. Don't leave things about that could make an accident, you know. And I call it an accident because most people truly want to live.
Yeah.
Right, as humans, we want to live.
Yeah.
Right, it becomes a question of, you know, hope, and can you maintain the last little semblance of hope?
Yeah.
And when you can't, then, you know, and that's where, as a technologist, so I was a medic in the military.
Yeah. Let's get into that. But so what led you into getting into the military first off?
So I'd say a variety of things. One is that, you know, my dad was in the Kentucky Army National Guard, and he also had to retire at a bit of a inconvenient time for the family, I guess I will say. He ended up working multiple jobs, going back to school, doing what he had to do to care for I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and I was getting ready to be a freshman in high school. So, it was a bit of a change. And so over the next 4 years, didn't necessarily get a whole lot easier, but, you know, I have a very loving family, and I'm so thankful and grateful for that. I think it's, you know, I like to say, but for the grace of God go I, and my family is such a huge part of that, and that support system, because when you don't have like I think it takes about 6 people to care for one adult. I think whatever adult, you need like 6 people I found in your life to be able to keep you together in whatever form and fashion that needs to take. But yeah, that's just my random opinion about it. So I needed to pay for college. I needed a way. I wasn't doing as well in school as I knew I was capable of, and I knew that if I was left to my own devices, I might not. I didn't like where I was going in some of my choices I was making. So, so it was a way to pay for my college because I had no way to pay for college. I was already working full time, had multiple jobs myself, trying to, you know, pay the bills. So, yeah, that's what it turned into, and, you know, created a lot of structure. It gave me my sense of self back. I took a lot of power back in that activity. Going through basic training and becoming a medic, and then sticking it out for 6 years.
So how was it with being a woman inside of the military? Were you treated differently than the men were treated, or did you ever, you know, go through any type of prejudices or anything like that?
Very subtle, right? So like overall accommodations were the same, uniforms were the same, treatment in general was the same, rules were the same, you know, so that was all the same. Opportunity-wise, I would say not the same, right? There was one E7 female in the whole state of Kentucky for the National Guard. One E7, that was the highest ranking person in the, only one, that's the best we can do?
Yeah.
Really? Just the one? How about that? Right, so, you know, there wasn't a lot of, you know, but I didn't know what I didn't know a lot during that time either, to know that, hey, that's actually not right.
Yeah.
You know, there was more at work there than just whatever. And I wasn't there for a career. I was there because I needed to serve my country. Obviously, I did my job. I did it the whole time. Did what was required, of me. But then at the same time, I wasn't there to you can't join the military. It's very hard to make change in the government or in the military, right? Individual change does not happen at the grassroots level in the military. There's some things some ways that they do, ground operations that have evolved up from the, grassroots level, but the rules are made at the top in the military, right?
Yeah.
And VA is the same way. VA is an administration. They don't even make their own rules. They get policy handed to them. They can't change their own rules if they wanted.
So even though people might want things a certain way, you're just stuck in a certain format because that's the way it goes and it's up top with the structure and how it's built. So even if this person might be, this lady might be qualified to even take this part in this ranking or whatever like that, it's a lot harder to be able to get there because that's the way it's structured.
Yeah, and who applies and what role models do you see and, what is the, and then are they interested? A lot of the females that are in there are, again, they're not there necessarily always for a career. Sometimes they're there, it's a good deal, by the way. National Guard, I'm a fan. Kentucky Air National Guard all the way. Kentucky Army National Guard was what I was in, also in the Indiana Guard. But the thing is that there's a lot of different classifications of military service that result in a lot of veterans not getting the care that people think that they get or that they deserve. So there's at least 16 classifications inside the VA of veterans. And I learned about a new one yesterday, so now there's 3 that they don't even count.
So it's getting tighter for the vets to get the help that they need.
Exactly. So there is this most beautiful level of all the things you've ever wanted to see, all the way through to an uncharacterized discharge that you're just left with because of what was essentially a RIF. There's nothing, you're left with this uncharacterized discharge. People don't know what to do with an uncharacterized discharge.
Wow.
Right? These are very interesting, especially medical discharges. Those can get really interesting as well because it may or may not have been service connected. And there was actually a grant that came through, a request that was actually a grant to document the VA process.
Jeez.
It was written by one of the other departments. It wasn't
for
even,
real?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my friend, I got a couple military friends, guys, and some who retired from the military, and it was a struggle for them to get all their VA, all their benefits after they got out, even with the medications and things like that, man. And he did 4 tours over there in Iraq and things like that, and it was just rough for him to even be able to get the stuff that he needed. It took him over a year or something after he retired, and then it just was a continuous battle. And then next thing you know, it took about 18 months, and he was like, bro, I finally finished getting everything. But it was a continuous battle. He had people trying to help him and everything. He's like, bro, this sucks, man. They don't want to, after I did with my country, man, and then after I did for what I did for my country, man, and it's just, they're making things so freaking difficult, man. I don't understand this, and that's when I really seen it was man, you know what, that's it's pretty sad to see, man, because I seen what he was going through, the nights that he'll cry and things like that, man. That's my friend, that's my bro, and it's man, you know what, man? It sucks. It really does. I seen how hard it was, and I'm like, man, all I could do is be there and try to help as much as I can, and it's just you know what? I think that vets need to definitely get treated a lot better than they get treated. I think it shouldn't be that hard if they're doing what they're doing for the country. It shouldn't be.
Should not be so hard. So you might as well just pitch my Transition app, which was the first app that we built. We released that in 2020. And so, I was a medic in the military, ended up coming out of that because discovered I don't actually want to be, I can't do life and death in real time.
Yeah, okay. You're nah, that's not for me.
Yeah, it's too much stress, right?
Yeah.
A bad day is a seriously bad day. That's more than what I found. And I randomly met this guy in a math class, calculus class. He was failing out of thermodynamics. I'd never even heard of thermodynamics. I didn't know it was a thing you could take. I was like, oh, I want to take some thermodynamics.
Oh, you just popped up in it like it sounds interesting type thing?
Yeah.
And it looks interesting?
Yeah, and so I went over and talked to Speed School, U of L, across the street from where I was in the kind of arts and sciences type of college. And they had this engineering, mathematics, computer science degree at the time. And so I was like, oh, that sounds good. I'm good at math. We'll give this a go. I didn't even know how to turn a computer on. The poor folks in the lab had to teach me everything. Everything. I knew nothing. I didn't have a computer. I didn't know anything about computers. I was there because I was good at math. You know, that's how I got there. And so very quickly they renamed the degree to computer engineering and computer science. So we were the first class to graduate with that as a bachelor's and then also as a master's.
Oh, nice.
There were, I think, 12 of us in the master's program, two women. So it was me and Sandy, and the rest of them were, you know, all guys. And that was pretty much it was just me and Sandy the whole time. You know, the class shrunk, but, you know, me and Sandy, we stuck it out. So I've always and often been just, you know, I'm just me. I go the places. I go out on the farm. You know, I was scrubbing the dirt out from underneath my fingernails this morning and last night, trying to get, you know, my hands. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to do the work. There's something very refreshing about touching the earth.
Yeah, definitely. Go out there and put your feet on the grass and get in one with nature. That's why I like to do certain things, even with my mental health and things like that. That's why I like to go hiking and do some things in the nature, man. Like I honestly feel like you have to get away from a lot of the electronics and things that seem to be ruling everybody's life in this day and age we're living in. Everything is electronic. People can't detox from their phones. They can't detox. You can't detox. Man, so many people can't detox for their phone. They're addicted to the phone. Try not using your phone for at least 7 days. And you got people who's about to go crazy. You got people who refuse to go to treatment and get the help they need. Not because the treatment could save their lives, but because they can't have their phone in treatment.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah, you got to go here. Oh, okay, I want to get the help. Can I keep my phone? Nah, but you can get your phone, but you can't keep it for this many days. And it's not, I'm saying all programs aren't like that.
Right.
Like you can go to First Step, you can keep your phone and things like that, but they'll refuse to go to other places that might be able to help them for the simple fact other places might take their phone and they'll rather just be out there on the streets, possibly dying instead of getting the help they need because they don't want to get rid of their phone for a couple days.
Yeah, it's a lifeline, and it's both, you know, a good kind and the bad kind, right? You can't live with it, can't live without it. But grounding, like taking your shoes off, so the rubber in our shoes keeps us from, you know, actually connecting with the earth. It acts as like a barrier from an electromagnetic
I heard
perspective.
that too.
That's
Is that
very
kind of like with
real.
lightning when it strikes, like if you're like on a rubber format, it kind of like
right.
deflects.
It doesn't get you.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't
you touch
get
something
you.
else, you're
liable to get hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's some crazy things there, but I mean, putting your feet on the grass where you can actually touch the earth, and you think about, you know, again, just the electromagnetism of it, right? You have a lot of positive ions running around. That's inflammation. The earth is a negatively charged, you know, body. It's going to, those ions move, right? You can't be like, you know, it's like physics wins. I'm so sorry. You can't change the laws of physics. You can't make, you know, moisture disappear out of the sky. It doesn't, you can't will physics away, or there would be a lot of people that would be alive instead of passed away in car accidents.
I'm trying to tell you, listen, people, this is real life, not a movie. Understand that, for real. You know, a lot of people try to be in, I like to say La La Land, but man, listen, the truth is, like, there's certain things that you cannot break, man. There's certain things that you can't change. It's
and there's
just
certain things that are free, like putting your feet in the grass is free.
Yeah.
Right, paying for Advil or other anti-inflammatories do the same thing. That creates money in a healthcare system that's broken. And
you got a lot of natural things that could literally that could help out before you even go to taking these certain medications that could lead to side effects and things.
Right, we were just talking about.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Mindfulness. Why have certain cultures been surviving a very long time and using very basic breathing techniques and doing really well for a really long time with that, and then that's a free thing, right? Maybe you had to learn how to do it correctly, but it's mostly a personal practice. You have to just practice and find your body's way. And
instead of just automatically just, you know what I'm saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and dump this in me and put, because the pharmaceutical company wants to push this here, they're not going to even give me a chance And I just say, hey, at least give a person a chance to be able to do things on a more natural aspect.
That's right.
Than to just automatically pop up and be like, we're gonna dope you up right now.
That's right.
And then have you walking around. I see some people walking around like zombies just because they're just so doped up about the medication. They're just so down, they're so
It gets to
groggy.
those side effects,
Yeah,
right?
it freaking downs them, it's tearing them down. I'm like, yo, you're not even the person. I would rather have the person who had issues going on and was lively than to have you over here like you're halfway drooling out your mouth. You know, is there something that we can do or something that can be done? And I think it's just getting pushed too far out, too fast about it.
That's right. And so who's controlling those medications? And that goes back to psychiatric care.
Yeah.
You know, a psychiatrist should review everything that you're taking, right?
Yeah.
They're the only ones that know whether or not that Advil is actually going to create a problem for you or not, right? Because you may have, or Tylenol poisoning happens, right? Because Tylenol be in several medicines, right? And now you've taken too much, right? So if you're not really talking to somebody about your supplements and your over-the-counters and your prescriptions, there's no system of record for that anymore. The only person that knows what you're taking is you. And so that conglomeration of medications, you throw in a missing liver enzyme, and you can have some very, and it's not just the liver enzyme, there's a whole list of things that impact how medications are processed through the human body, but nobody, it's a test and learn, right? That's why that person was 20 years before. They're just throwing some stuff at it because they don't really know, they can't really measure. And so, you know, you have to know what that collection is. So yeah, extra medicine, no good. Somebody reviewing it that actually understands how medication works, super powerful. And that's what psychiatrists do. It's medication review. It's, are these medications making you able to engage with society and take care of your activities of daily living and find happiness and joy in your own body, right? It doesn't necessarily, happiness isn't come from somewhere else. You have to manifest that yourself in your own physical space.
Definitely.
Even if your surroundings are not always the best.
Like you said, you need to talk to people. I think that's the important thing you said, talk to people. So people who listen to this, don't be afraid to talk to people. You must talk to people. Breathing exercise, different things that can actually help you mentally. I mean, even if you are a psychiatrist, happy to prescribe you to something, still try these free
That's right. They'll
things
tell you
that
to
can
do
help
this
you out.
too. You still need these techniques. They're not going,
still try.
Right? If your heart rate is high because either you just ran across the street or, you know, maybe you're worried about something, how you suffer that's still the same, right? It's still a box breathing. It's still the same thing they teach the military to do. It's still the same thing that, you know, folks learn to be able to put themselves to sleep in an instant. It's slowing down that heart rate, right? And that's what emotions are, is these chemical reactions. How do you know you had them? Your heart rate went up, your breathing is up, right? You might be sweating, right? These are all manifestations of chemical reactions, hormones, other things releasing in your body, right? So you need to figure out, well, how do I get my breathing back down, regardless of why I got up?
You need those proper tools.
That's right.
And you were saying about the first app you built. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Okay,
oh my gosh,
so
you might as well pitched it for me. So what we found was that we did some study with the public health department folks at University of Louisville, and a woman named Meredith. She was an epidemiological studies student, so she finds the source of disease. So we wanted to find the source of the disease of suicide, and if that's something you're struggling with, you're not alone, and there's so many stages of ideation and concern that please don't think they're not all terrible, right? Some of them are natural, some of them are it's gone too far, you need help, you know, there's ways out. But when we went and studied, right, what can I do as a technologist? Because I can't, you know, I've had this event in my life, and we know that I can't let this happen anymore. I know that I have to use my tech skills for something well beyond what I thought they were good for. And I knew the technology existed to be able to bring resources that you need on demand and in the moment. And so when we studied that problem, we found when you're transitioning out of the military, if you don't have the documentation that you need, and you don't get it when you're getting out, that you will potentially go down the pathway to despair, right? It's that first kind of step to the pathway to despair. And you talked about some of the despair, right, that you saw, you know, your family member experiencing. So just to validate everything you just said, it's 180 steps across 5 government agencies, and it takes 12 to 18 months. We expect all 200,000 people who exit the military every single year for lots of reasons to pull that off themselves. There are massive support systems, people try to help, you've got mentors, but it's still, I like to say, if you can pull off a project plan with 180 steps on it across 5 government agencies in 12 to 18 months, you should be a program manager or a project manager somewhere, because I'm pretty sure that's a lot harder than a lot of other things, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy. So I put together a team, and we actually put all those steps together, figured out what they actually meant, translated them into like real English, and said things like, hey, in this step, you need to go download your certificates. You're going to lose access to the HR systems that you have in the military when you get out. You'll never be able to go back and get those again. Don't just print them, because you're going to lose them. You're going to have to move, right? You're going to lose everything about your life, from your hairstyle, right, is controlled, your workout buddies, your schedule, your clothes, right, your job, your insurance, all your medications, your family's medications, your family's doctors, family support system, their school, their house. There is no dog, right? And so all those things on a single day disappear from you.
Wow.
Right. And so that's a tremendous amount of things for anybody to go through.
Yeah.
So we created an app to help you. We don't collect data. I'm really very serious about data protection.
That's a very important thing. Data protection, people. That's an important thing. And if your company is doing that, it's a company that you honestly need to mess with, because a lot of people do share a lot of data with a lot of people.
Yes, exactly. So the current model is that you are giving away your data for free tech, right? The tech isn't free, right? But the decision between tracking you and tracking all your data is mine as a business owner. I choose not to check the box, or to check the box that says, give me access to all your data.
Yeah.
Not you. I decide. So I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
So we only needed what branch you're leaving and when. That's all I really need to know about you, right? Because some of the Coast Guard and Air Force, you have to go to different systems, or there might be, a few different steps. So broke that all down, said get these things, put them in the vault part of the app. Because later you're going to want them and you don't know where they're going to be. The app restores with your phone, so you get a new device. It'll ask you, hey, you want to reinstall your stuff? So you say yes. Everything comes back, with it, because we don't centralize data. We have a decentralized model that we leverage, and that means I don't ever have to know who you are technologically in order to provide you with digital tools that let you manage your information in the most basic way. People just want to see your certificate. They want you to upload it. They want you to print a copy of it and bring it in, right? So some people need the real thing, and that is a very dynamic situation right now with what's called digital identity and the rollout of things like the Kentucky Mobile ID, essentially Real ID number 2, which comes after the first one. We're still kind of fighting here. So digitization of credentials is something that's happening, where copy on your phone is actually as powerful and actually it's actually better than the paper versions, because you can't tamper with them.
So you'll be able to eventually, like with your app, store a lot of information on it, right?
That's right.
And would you be able to store like for a Real ID, let's just hear it for a chance, and you have could you get a digital version of your Real ID and actually use that to be able to fly at the past TSA and be able to fly with a digital Real ID?
That's right. So yes, so I say that in the macro sense. It exists, and Kentucky Mobile ID works exactly that way. We were number 19 out of 50 in implementing these digital credentials on your phone for TSA access, actually, specifically.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
We were 49 out of 50, I think, on Real ID number 1, and that's why they said we can't fly anymore, because the government has given us numerous extensions and extensions and extensions and extensions to get Real ID, the first one, implemented. So that's kind of why they're a little harsh with us, but we did bump up to number 19 in January when our governor rolled out the Kentucky Mobile ID. So yeah, it's on your phone, you put it up next to the scanner at TSA and the airports, and you can get on. Those formats are not consistent yet. So the one that Kentucky uses is a proprietary format. The one, I think there's some very large standards bodies in both U.S. and internationally that have aligned on what these cryptographic, I call them cryptographic nuts, they're verifiable credentials. Like, how do we get everybody across all these bodies to agree, that this is indeed a sign, this is indeed we're going to call it orange. Are we sure it's orange? You might say that's yellow. My daughter might tell me that that's red. I don't know. So there's a lot of alignment that has to happen. That's finally all occurred. The 2.0 version of those standards have rolled out, so they fixed all the first parts. And so now that's why you see these mobile IDs coming out. And our technology was proven back in 2024 to be able to manage these new formats and allow you to transfer those around. So it's starting to come, and California is a great example. Louisiana is actually another example. They actually have more digital IDs issued than anyone else. California's, well, they did. Now California, after the Los Angeles fires, right? There's 35 million people who have a California mobile driver's license on their phone, and that one is following all the international standards.
Oh, so it's basically a secure digital wallet.
That's it.
That you can have, but the digital wallet is secured from sharing your private information with everyone else. And that's the difference between digital wallets that you might be using. You're accepting these things, it might be free, they're sharing your data, they're sharing your information. But with the app that she has, they don't share the information. So digital wallet is also important to have because it's just a situation that happened. I was down a few years ago, there was a fire by my mom's house. She had, her wills, this, that, inside of her files and things like that, inside of her house. And firemen come, hey, you gotta evacuate. This whole block got evacuated. The fire's about to come, it's about to burn everybody's house down. It's like, oh man, you know what? She worrying about, she got to get a dog, she had to get this, and she got the file cabinet full of this, that, family pictures, birth certificates, death certificates, this, that, everything that you need, all in the filing cabinets, how they've been storing it for so many years. But if she would have had that digital, and then you got to worry about moving all this stuff over here on top of getting everything else you trying to save from getting burnt up. But if she would have just had that information on the digital wallet, she wouldn't have had to worry about any of that. But like, you know what, man, if this goes, it's cool. I already got this, I got the insurance papers, I got this, that, everything lined up right here on my phone in this protected wallet, and the information's not going anywhere anyways. So I think it's a good thing to be able to get involved in. And I think it's a great thing to have, which is a digital wallet.
That's right.
And is it easy how would they go about accessing it or getting your app?
That's a great question. So it's available in both of the app stores for Google Play and the App Store for Apple, and it's called Carry a Vault. And so, we want people to be able to carry around their own vault of their information. There's lots of digital wallets that are starting to come out. Apple Wallet, Google Wallet are both examples. But the scenario with them is a little more complicated because they do track your data. They do keep up with you. They do know where you are. If we connect to the same Wi-Fi, then they know we're together. Right? And so now my data will be linked to your data because we use the same, IP address for our Wi-Fi. And when you import these cryptographically signed digital credentials that'll get you on a plane, right? They're accepted by the federal government. The formats are actually international, so the EU, Canada, Australia, they are all entire countries, Bhutan, are using the same digital credential, the one the California standards. To make all of this happen. And so when you start having Apple and Google Wallet decrypt your cryptographically signed identity, now they don't just know who you are, they know who you are. They absolutely know everything about you because they're going to have that in their log data, right? They're going to have that information available to them because it's their app that you did. And the thing about apps, and this is why in my opinion, you really need mobile apps for this as opposed to a web-based app, is that a web-based app is going to phone home. Like, we don't even have to you don't have to have an internet connection to bring the app up. If you want to send a piece of proof somewhere, you have to have connectivity. But just to view it, to show it to people, many people just want to see it. Real copies aren't necessary. Back to the will and the power of attorney. You call your lawyer, they're going to go pull the digital copy, right, and email you a new version of whatever it was, right? So we're already dealing not just with these fancy cryptographic things, we're just dealing with text files, documents, PDFs. So we want to make sure that we help people now.
Yeah.
Not just with the fancy smancies, which is really important, and that's what I love, and that's what I am. I'm a deep tech technologist and software engineer. My job is to integrate. As a software engineer, we integrate all the different layers to create experiences.
Yep.
And that's what we do. And because it's an app, it's insulated. There's app sanctity. You can't dip in another app without permission. It'll say, can I use your camera, right? Am I allowed to pull your photos forward, right? That it can't just go and get your photos, right?
Yeah.
Any app is going to say, at Facebook, any of them, they're going to say, hey, can I access your photos? Can I access your contacts, right? So you can't just dip across the spaces. And so that protects your data from Apple and Google, gives you the same capabilities.
Yeah, because I've seen some apps that when they put in can I allow access to this, can I allow access to that, and then when you say no, they say you can't use their app.
That's exactly right.
So so you're basically gonna put me on I feel like extortion to be able to use your app, because I can't use your app unless I allow you access to my files, I allow you access to my cameras, my phone calls, the change my this and that within my phone. But that's the only way I could use your app.
Yeah.
It never made sense to me, because like when the app does that, I really just, this isn't the app I need to use then, because I don't need you getting my personal information. Next thing you know, my bank account hacked. Next thing you know, I'm getting a million phone calls from the person because they done sold my information over here or passed it on to here. Now I got hackers everywhere tearing my phone. I got to get a whole nother phone and phone number.
That's right. New emails.
New emails, everything. You like it's serious business out there. People, like, when it comes to digital, you could be in a position where your life gets ruined if you don't have the right protection and security. And I think that's why it's important what you're doing with your app. That's why I think it's such a great thing, because the privacy and the security that it has for you to be able to put your information and have your data protected while this app is on your phone. Is it app pretty easy to use?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people just want to add a file. They want to add a photo. So it literally just says, hey, can we use your camera? And it'll bring up your camera, and you can take a picture of that thing that you got right there. Could be anything. Could be, a flyer that you saw at a resource fair. It could be a quick screenshot of the side effects of a medication, right? We throw, those things are gone, right? I throw all the paperwork immediately away. But if you're showing something new, it might be worth a quick snap, and then just as easily you can delete things out of the app. So it's not lost in your files and photos. It's not, I'm trying to find it, it's in here somewhere, I don't remember where I put it, let me use the AI in the search feature to go find it out of my photos or whatever. So you can keep it in one spot. When you're done with it, delete it. It's super easy to delete, because when it's not useful, it's just clutter.
I know every app needs, and everything a person does needs some type of funding going on. So what would the funding be like with your app that you have for your wallet? Is it a monthly subscription that they have to pay? Is it a weekly? How would that work with being able to use the app?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, so thank you. So I like to be really transparent about that, because how do we make money if we don't have ads, we don't collect your data, we don't track it, we don't sell it? So what you doing, Susan? So the product itself is free, and that add photo, add file is free, and a standard share capability. So you can send it as an email, you can print it, but basically it uses attachments, just like we send things out today. So those features are free and always free, because I won't hold your data hostage. I refuse to be like, oh, well, you can't, buy my stuff, or you don't work for that employer, or you moved, or, you lost access to that health plan, so now you don't get your healthy living steps anymore, and you don't know what you had done, or other information you might have loaded into those systems is gone. And now you're back to square one, right? So the app itself is free. We have some features that are special sauce, right? So we create, I like to say, hammers and wrenches, screwdrivers. They're digital tools. We don't know what you do with them. And those basics are free. You want a crowbar, fancy crowbar on the back of that hammer, right? That's an upgrade. That's a special sauce. And those things turn on for subscriptions. So the subscription works out to about $10 a month, but it's actually annual. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is we don't want to pull $10 out of your bank account when we decided it was a good day to take $10 out of someone's bank account. That I've definitely been plus or minus $10 and not interested in subscription, like driving me under. So that's one way. You can actually cancel the subscription right after you get it. It'll still be good for a year. so you don't have to worry about auto renew. And then because it's an app, Apple has kind of separated that, and Google both, from, it's your phone. You sign into the phone, you sign into your app store. Somebody can give you a gift card, right? And you can buy apps with it. So whether you want to pay for it yourself to buy the special sauce, you want our self-destructing links, and also a scanned PDF, then great, we'd love to have you subscribe. And if you have somebody who's helping you remove barriers in your life, or you've had a lot of identity theft issues, or maybe you're, maybe you're at risk for identity theft, there's some tools in there with that Safer Share that can help mitigate quite a few of those risks. So, so somebody else can pay for it for you, give you that promo code, give you, a gift card, and there's no more risk for them than giving a gift card for anything and buying any app on the App Store. So no matter what, the data's never held hostage. You don't have to pay. You don't have to even have internet. You can use a shared device even. So we really worked hard to make sure that everyone, right? And there's still hardships. I interview people every single day about what might be a barrier. If they can't use the app, they have the problem, but can't use the app, right? Or what's in the way of that? And certain things like devices can be in the way. Access to an email address, which can come with the access to a phone number problem. So we've been looking into those different barriers. What are workarounds that folks are using? Internationally, I thank AI for that, because I can ask it about some of the barriers that I'm seeing and say, well, what are creative ideas to solve some of these barriers? How can we kind of fix some of this systemically? And having come from a Fortune 50 company and spent 25 years there as a software engineer, solving systemic problems, creating connections, and working ecosystems is what I did. And so I'm trying to just create that in the same space here.
It sounds like a great thing you're doing with a great cause and a great purpose.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on too.
Thank you.
What are some of your plans that you have for the future, maybe with your company or just in life in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on the company, we're really working to mature this digital ambassador program. One of the things we found to be most powerful, and then is how we met, is going to different locations around the city. I'm from here, so I can speak the language, so it's really important that our digital ambassadors are from the communities that they're serving, and that we're able to go and really just share information with folks about what are the top 10 documents everybody actually needs to have, right? Never mind my app. I hope you use it. Of course, that's why I'm putting all my effort in, because this is my company. This is what my entire family supports me in doing, actually. My husband's a stay-at-home father, so that I can pursue this as a full-time company, and we can still actually manage our household and manage our children. So it is a full-on family activity, which is helpful and nice that can all be supportive, back to the point about support. But as far as like the future goes, it's really continuing to help people understand those documents, bringing that digital ambassador program so that folks can help spread this word more, right? Can run the same kind of tables that I run, help people understand what documents they need, digitize them some way, right? Back to the story about the fire. It's not our fault, but it can be our problem, right? The fires, the floods, right? A car wreck. These are all things that can need digital documents right this second. And if you don't have them, you're done for, right? If you don't have that medical power of attorney for your parent or for your, adult dependent child, then you can't engage in their healthcare. It's not allowed. HIPAA prevents that. You can produce a HIPAA consent. You can produce a power of attorney digital document on demand and in the moment.
Can't beat it.
They'll be right for it. They just want to read it. You can email it to them, or you can use our self-destructing links so that it's not in your email, it's not in their email. You know whether or not it was delivered. You can cancel it. They get 24 hours to get it, or it's gone. So some of those fraud protections that can happen if you accidentally send your email, start sending attachments to something you thought it was a good idea, then you realized halfway in maybe maybe this isn't such a good idea anymore. Maybe I'm not. You can cancel those instead of trying to, I sent you an email with all these attachments. You can cancel those self-destructing links and it's done for. They can't get it.
Oh,
so
nice.
those are some of the features that you pay for.
That's a great thing. Those are great goals. When you mentioned something within the goals too, that there's 10 documents that a person should have. What would those 10 documents be?
Yeah, so off the top, your birth certificate, your social security number, your social security card, those are the first 2 documents that folks have to have if they're missing. There's at least 3 places in the city of Louisville I'm aware of that can help. St. John Center, UP, and the Urban League are all places where those documents, they can help you recover those if you don't already have them. Passport and driver's license or state IDs is what comes like next on the priority list. But right after that, you're going to get into your medical care. You know, the only thing that's consistent in healthcare is you. Every facility, they're all disconnected. Healthcare data can't be shared. They're not on the same systems. So if you don't have your insurance card, right, they're not going to see you, right? No driver's license, no insurance card, no doctor's appointment. So making sure folks have, but they don't want the real thing. They just want a copy of it. They just want to look at it. They're just going to run the numbers. Same thing with car insurance. So people just want to know you have it. It either is valid or it isn't. They're going to call it in anyway. They just want the numbers. So insurance cards fall under that. Prescription information. We really encourage people to just, because again, this data is locked down, line up your meds, line up your supplements, line up whatever you're actually taking now. Because maybe you were on more and now you're on less and you're on the other one, but they sent you 90 days, who knows, right? Take a picture of them. That's what you're taking. Show the doctor. They can read. There's no transposing of X's and S's and Y's and Z's and suddenly, you know, my father's being poisoned for the 3rd time in a row.
Dang.
Right.
That's real.
That's real.
It happens.
That's real. I mean, and I'm working in
And,
healthcare. I mean, I've done this for 25 years. It's
Poisonings, accidental poisonings, man. Like my uncle got accidentally poisoned too before with his own medication.
It's very common.
It happens.
And then back to those liver enzymes, right?
Yep.
That will absolutely contribute. And I just bring it up because it's actually really common, and a lot of psychiatrists will test people. It's called GeneSight, but they will do a test for this because they don't want to prescribe you information that you can't, or prescribe you medication that you can't process.
Yeah.
Right. That will kill you in a whole different way. That will
Yeah.
create other consequences because you can't metabolize what they've just given you. And you know, that goes back to, in my own life, we like to, if someone is actively engaged in trying to help better their own mental health condition, their own healthcare scenario, they're actively engaged in that, then that's enough. You know, it's not perfect, it's messy, it's very hard. It can be impactful for children in ways that you didn't want it to be, but it also teaches resilience. It shows that you can get through things. But I think if, you know, folks are actively trying and actively engaged in trying to increase and improve their mental health care, their physical health care, then we need that grace comes, there should be a great deal of grace in that because there's a lot of things that are way outside their control. And if you're trying and you're doing the things and you're making good faith effort, then support is needed then.
And remember, part of that is making your life easier. The app can make your life easier. The keeping the digital wallet can make your life easier. And remember to keep these 10 things on post. So you mentioned a few of them already.
Yeah, banking information is kind of what comes in next. Like, so one of the things that folks don't have a good understanding of is how assets move from person to person. If someone were to pass away, what happens with their bank account? Their bank account isn't covered by a will. That's different kinds of law that come into place. So contract law versus what you can actually put in a will versus what might be subject to probate and extra taxes that people can be protected against with literally a couple pieces, I think it's like 3 pages of paper, and you too don't have to pay taxes. It's some crazy nuts stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so people don't know that these things exist, or they think a will might be able to handle it or protect their assets. They don't know that it won't. And that there's actually a different piece of paper, just as similar, just as easy. Just a couple signatures, and you know, again, there's a lot of protection. So understanding how to, what legal documents, power of attorneys, what they do and don't do. So we like to come to places and educate, you know, share about these documents, because regardless of, you know, again, whether you put them in the app, you need a copy of them, digital somewhere, preferably, because most people just want to see them. And it's always an emergency. It's you don't ever need your advanced directives about whether or not, you know, you do or don't want advanced life support in a non-emergency. You
Yeah.
only need to know that in an emergency. That's it. And people's
Exactly.
phones are with them all the time, right? Discharge instructions. We cared for my dad for 5 years at home. And in the beginning, he was able to manage everything himself. And there's lots of layers of security. So even if you get past the first layer with the Face IDs, you can lock the app down even past that. And we don't use passwords because passwords are actually deprecated. They're not good anymore. They've been shut down. You're not supposed to create passwords anymore. And that's why people keep adding these one-time passcodes on top of everything. You don't need the password. We just use the one-time passcode. So we skipped over the password part
Yeah.
because it's useless and go with the passcodes, for example. So that can simplify things because he didn't have to remember a password. Keep it super locked down. Later, as he was getting further progressed in he had multiple myeloma from his service during Vietnam. And so, as that progressed, he left it open. The phone was always with him. The discharge instructions, nope, those were lost in transport between hospital and rehab or hospital and skilled nursing. His phone was never lost, right? And even if which it never was lost.
Yeah.
If it were lost, in theory, he could get a new one and it would restore the
Information
app.
to transfer over.
Yeah, it just comes
Okay.
right back. So, in the end, he left it completely open, totally unlocked, because he just needed people in his life that were around him to get the information about him from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Whoever takes the photo, whoever imported the file, right? It doesn't matter. He doesn't care. He just wants it on there so that when my sister meets him at the next place down the street, or, my brother is transporting him from point A to point B, we don't lose continuity of that information, and his health was able to stay. And even with all of that, we still struggled.
Yeah.
We still struggled, right?
I think that's an important thing, that everybody just important to surround yourself by loved ones, because even though we struggle, just make sure you have people that actually care about you. And like we were talking about earlier, not being selfish, but being selfless and caring about people and understanding where you're coming from. And just, you never know what position you might be in, because everybody's going to be in a position that you're going to need somebody. 5, 6 people to take care of somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen eventually one day in the life, So definitely, there's some great information that you share with us. If you want to know more about the information about it or reach out to it, we have our stuff across the board. You've seen it already. It's already been across, and don't wait. Don't be scared to reach out to her, because she'll be happy to help you. Definitely get the app, and any other questions, their company be happy to help.
Absolutely. And feedback, right? We're constantly looking for ways to make it easier to use. We need to, you're talking about what's on the future, more language support. Right now it's in English, and we try to really limit the number of words in the app anyway, because words just get in the way. So, that's one of the things we're working on right now, is how do we, what are some of the next most important features that we should do? What's the highest demand, that we have for the product? So we'd love to hear your feedback. What's hard? Like, Susan, I couldn't figure out this. Like, tell me.
So
I want to know.
Answer back. Talk to Susan. She's definitely there to help you out.
That's
and
right.
to help better the app for everybody. And it's for a great purpose. It's for great people, man, and for people who need that help. It started with a great cause. Help people mentally be able to focus more, and just help people out of society without taking your information and selling it to somebody else. Is there any last words you'd like to say to the people before we go?
Thank you for listening. I'm very grateful for the time. Thank you for the opportunity to share with your audience my story and about our app and our product. And this is something we're super passionate about. It already exists, I like to say, so you can't take it away. Or you can't make people pay for it now. It's already done. I already did it.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm very proud of. It's too late. You can't make me take your data. There's already a product out there that doesn't. And that's something I'm proud of, and I'm thankful for, and I hope that everyone gets as much use out of it as we hope.
I'm proud of you also, and I'm definitely happy to hear that, man, because in this digital age, man, your privacy and your security is really the most important thing out there right now, man, because like we said before, it can make you or it can break you. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.